invite everyone to enjoy treats and conversation and coffee after the service. More talking. There will also be a newcomer chat about 10 minutes into the coffee hour, 10-15 minutes, and we're going to meet over in the Blue House so others can keep on chatting and eating. Anybody is welcome to the newcomer chat who hasn't been to one and who's relatively new, like our new friend Susan, who just moved here from New Hampshire and has been active in Unitarian Fellowship there. So I'm sure that you've noticed the paper mittens around the sanctuary. These contain our names and the countries that our ancestors came from in recognition this month of our shared immigrant heritage. If you haven't filled out a mitten, the greeters are going to walk down the aisles here and pass you, hold your hand up if you want a mitten. If you didn't fill one out last week, passed a few there, Leroy. And there, if you don't have a pen, Leroy has some, or there's some, and Dawn has some over here. There are usually some or a pencil, but a marker is good. If you have a sharper, your name stands out better. Anyhow, after you have filled out your name and where your ancestors came from, you can hand in the mitten at the end of the service. There will be a basket on the table where we hand in our name tags, so you can put the mitten there. And as usual, CUUF members are welcome this holiday season to share our generosity with community members who may be less fortunate. There are several families who would appreciate Christmas gifts for their children and adults. Jerry Bailey is handing out some sheets. He's kind of organizing some teams. That's Jerry in the back there. He's organizing teams to work with each family. He and Kathy are finding families that Cafe has, our Latino friends have identified for us. So that's going to be kind of coordinated as far as gifts. And I've already seen a box out here where people are bringing donations of clean children's clothing and stuff. Do you want to say anything, Jerry?
Yeah, the warm clothing, that box goes out every year around Labor Day. So anybody who's got an old sweater or coat or something that's functional that you want to donate, just bring it in, gloves, hats. Then we've got the box out there underneath the coat rack.
Okay.
We've got a gal. Oh, there she is. Yeah. She takes it over there about once a week, takes it over to Cafe. They're very happy to get anything we can contribute.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
And the Christmas Adopt a Family briefly is something that Cafe does every year. And I told them we'll take about a dozen families. So I'm handing them out to the various teams. I think I gave one to choir and common groups. So if you're on a team, you've either got one of these or will get one of these, and that should help out. And it, again, it's just like, gifts for family.
Okay, thank you. And
You put your names on the video?
yeah, you put your name on, and all on one side, your name, and then below it, Germany, or wherever, in some cases there's 6 or 8 countries that your ancestors are from. And then you put them, there's a basket that I showed to Dawn that will go on the table there. And now Rita has an announcement.
It's just me today. Ruby, the auction diva, has moved on to other places. Yeah. I wanted to let everyone know that we made over $21,000 with the auction. Yes. Now, some of that money will go to operating funds, but over $10,000 will go to our new building fund. Yeah. Yeah. There's some last-minute Apple Sox tickets. If you're interested, come see me. And if you have invoices to pay, see me after the service. Thank you so much for your generosity, both in purchasing and donating items. You guys are gems.
All right, thank you, Rita, and the auction team for all your hard work on making that happen. We gather today on the ancestral lands of the Pasquosa people, the original inhabitants of this region. For thousands of years, from the shores of Lake Wenatchee down along the Wenatchee River, and across the Columbia River, the Piscosa have been the thoughtful stewards of this land. They have thrived here, fishing and hunting, gathering plants for medicine and food, and honoring their cultural traditions. The Piscosa, now one of 12 of the confederated tribes of the Colville Reservation, continue to live and carry on their heritage in this very place. We recognize with solemn respect that this land was taken through broken treaty obligations and the subsequent settlement by uninvited colonizers. As a community, we stand in solidarity with our Indigenous neighbors as they continue to uphold their traditions and advocate for recognition of their inherent rights. And now let's join in singing hymn number 128, For All That Is Our Life. Please rise in body and spirit.
Simple way I speak of Unitarianism is that there is only one truth, one earth, one reality that binds us all, but there are a million ways to name it. And one of the names is the Spirit of life. And so I call today upon the Spirit of life that brings us abundant harvests of joy and sustenance and beauty. The Spirit of life that brings us brambles and falls and floods and fires. The Spirit of life that brings us community and hope, even in the most difficult times. We summon the Spirit of life and living well. We summon that Spirit to be active and vibrant and present in this moment. Let us be filled with the Spirit of life as we affirm one another, strengthen one another in communal worship. Amen.
The flaming chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. In lighting it, we kindle the flame of resilience within ourselves and our community. May its warmth remind us of our enduring spirit, our capacity for renewal, and our interconnected strength in the face of life's challenges. Please join in saying the words on the screen or in your order of service. We light this chalice in gratitude for this community of seekers. We light this chalice to affirm the courage that brought each of us here. We light this chalice for the hope we kindle together. May this flame illuminate our path. May gratitude deepen our joy and steady our hearts.
I found this book, You're Grateful, or in Cherokee it's O Jali Heliga. O Jali Heliga. We are grateful. So now we're going to sing the children to class. And since we have some children right up here who would like to go through the tunnel, right? There, okay, we're going to make a tunnel for them, make the beautiful arch of loving hands, and off they go with each other to find meaning in the spirit of love that we share. Now go with each other to find meaning in the spirit of love that we share.
Sharing and honoring, I guess we have to use that microphone.
Now's the time to affirm that we are a loving community, that we care for one another and share our lives together. We don't have the microphone up here. We have this broadcast microphone. Or are you going to get the other one? Okay. Our fine sound tech, while I blab a little bit, is going to go get the microphone and a little pillow to sit it on. This is a caring community. We affirm all who are in this caring community. We take this time to share events in our lives, ones of great sorrow or great joy, and uplift and hope. We try to speak briefly, short sharings, if at all possible. And we only share things that we have permission from others involved to share. realize there's a little subtle thing there. It's not just permission to share, but permission from those who are involved to share. Think about how we care for the people who have been infected by the same thing that we have been impacted by. You come up, speak your name into the handheld microphone, and then say what it is that you need to share, and then light a candle. And for the flame of the candle, I will take it down from the chalice of our community, the chalice of our loving community. I have a lacuna in my little notes here. Who's care team representative today? Stephanie Coe is care team representative. So she will be paying attention on behalf of all the care team that nurtures our caring community. And afterwards, if you'd like to speak with her about anything, please do so. I've been doing that as my spiritual practice for decades now, being silent in a room with other people. And it now automatically brings a smile to my face. But I was thinking the other day about my favorite literary characters, Earl and Mooch. Earl's a dog and Mooch is a cat, technically, but they're sort of trans-species-ish. And they are gathered, they're standing near a Christmas tree, and there's all these packages under the Christmas tree. And Mooch says, "This is my favorite time of the entire year." And Earl says, "What, Christmas?" And he goes, "No, the present moment." And it is. That to be in the present moment, not worrying about what might happen, not thinking about what you're trying to accomplish, but just being there in that moment is a gift. Often comes to us only as a gift, but it'll come to us as a gift more often if we work at being present, if we work at being awake and aware, if we work at seeking gratitude about the present moment. But a few weeks back, as I sat down with the meditation group, and I was settling into the silence, the first thing that always happens to me when I take my first breath is there's this feeling of gladness and joy and pleasure that comes into my body, into my mind. And I smile, and I remember my teacher Thich Nhat Hanh saying, "Always have a little smile on the corner of your lips while you're smiling, while you're meditating. It's not that serious." And then it came to me in that moment the things I had been reading in the news. And I had been reading about a child who had been killed in a drone strike against apartments in Ukraine. And I was thinking about the horrors of this current world, of all the people who are being, their families broken up or being sent to foreign countries or being hurt in all sorts of ways. And the people who are so excited about winning and not caring at all about who they defeat or what happens to the people they defeat. And of course, all that smile on my face was gone. All that sense of peace and blessedness was gone. I was just thinking about how terrible this was and how angry it made me. And then that's when I decided I was going to preach on gratitude in times of difficulty, gratitude in times of suffering, gratitude in the face of evil. What does it mean to be thankful? Thankful for my own breath when others are losing their breath, when others are suffering, when others are having everything taken away from them. Is it a selfish act to be grateful and present and awake? Or is it essential? Then, after I chose to do this, and I spent a couple weeks thinking about this and writing about gratitude in times of trouble, gratitude in hard times, I opened the New York Times opinion column this morning, and there's this. The writer says, "You know as well as I do, gratitude is good for you." Like, really good for you. Like, practicing gratitude is the way of mainlining a mood booster. It improves sleep, it reduces anxiety, it reduces depression, it improves heart health, and it makes you a nicer person. But it's also hard to practice, and that's especially true when times are tough, she wrote. So that's what we're looking at today. What gratitude, even hope, can look like when someone near you or you are struggling. Every year as the leaves turn, as the seasons shift, we always speak of gratitude. It's what the whole Thanksgiving holiday is supposed to force you to center on, is abundance and gratitude. We speak about harvests and abundance and a blessing. But today, I am speaking about gratitude in hard times, in these times. And especially in these times, gratitude is a requirement. It is not just a ritual performance, but can be a spiritual practice that can hold you up and ground you in what is ultimate, even when our world feels like it's going off its axis altogether. Some of us were raised with the idea that gratitude is something we have to do or something that we owe. It's a polite response, a moral obligation. Our parents of elders may have told us over and over and over, say thank you. In childhood, sometimes in adulthood, we're told, you should say thanks. But the gratitude that matters most in hard times is not born of obligation, nor is it, though it is vital to do those little obligation things to affirm your connection to other people and affirm that you are aware of the goodness from another person and what they have done. Just doing it helps you as well as them. But you don't want to pretend that everything's fine when it isn't. Unitarian Universalism specifically is an approach to religion that's deeply built on integrity. We should never lie to ourselves. We should never lie to another. If we are uncertain, we need to speak that uncertainty. If we doubt, we should speak our doubts, face them in our hearts. We do not want gratitude to be a spiritual bypass or a shortcut around pain or a denial of grief and fear. These are real things in our lives and they shape us deeply. Instead, we need to see gratitude as a daily discipline, a companion, a lantern to hold, a lantern not to erase the darkness, but to help us see more clearly our path in the dark times and to see one another more clearly. We must begin, gratitude begins by admitting that there are difficulties and sorrows. Telling the truth. There are moments when it seems as though gratitude may be impossible. When illness comes, when relationships fall apart, when the world grows more violent or more unjust, or both at the same time. We need to honor these realities and face them. And perhaps feel gratitude that we have a chance to choose how we respond. If we feel we have a chance, if we feel we have some power to choose our path, to be grateful at least that we can move forward. When we feel overwhelmed or exhausted or afraid, to know that there is a possible reservoir of energy and hope and vision that will help us move forward. In such seasons, gratitude is not a cheerful thing, it is not an easy thing, it does not come wrapped in a bow, but it's an affirmation of reality at its ultimate root. The spiritual practice, the sacred art of small noticings deepens us and stretches us out. We often assume gratitude is an emotion, but in hard times it becomes a practice, deliberate, like prayer, mindful as meditation, as necessary as getting some rest. I often use meditation if my mind's running too busy to just go to sleep, and it's okay. Meditation or prayer can be a moment of relaxation and calm, but I always use it to notice the busyness in my mind. Notice where it's coming from and set it aside, saying, right now, I'm trying to be quiet. Setting it off to the side. These moments of small noticing can be the seeds of gratitude for the well-being of all. To wake up in the morning and see this intense orange light out my window and see all the clouds glowing with this radiant, vibrant color as the sun comes up. The sun comes up from behind Badger Mountain. Right? This intensity of that color I saw a few days ago, and I was grateful for it and glad for it. Noticing my breath. Sometimes I didn't even think I had the strength to take another breath. Yet there it is, bringing oxygen and other gases, good things into my lungs, and allowing the burned up stuff to go out. Sometimes I think about breathing in the clear air and breathing out smoke. I'm feeling grateful that I am still breathing sometimes. And knowing that I can breathe again in a few moments. It reminds you of all the easy breaths. It can remind you of any moment in your day or in your life where you were able to breathe easily. And if you seed your life with gratitude for breathing, then there it is, right there, all the time. That gratitude becomes part of breathing. That gratefulness for your heart beating and your blood flowing. Gratitude for the trees doing their respiration so that the air is better and better each time they breathe with us, together, connected. The sunrise that arrives without your permission. A friend in a time of difficulty who just texts, "I'm thinking of you." And suddenly that little phone that has the text message on it becomes an avenue of connection to remind you that you are not alone. And to choose to be grateful, even in the most difficult times, can be an act of resistance. It's not just noticing, but it's also standing for certain things. We are part of the great arising, and all who notice what's going on and want to stand against the sorrow and stand for love and justice. I'm so glad for the affirmations of seeing someone do something right, an ordinary small acts of rightness, and to realize that we're connected. It can be part of being brave and asserting our agency. I was reading one writer who was talking about asserting my agency over my half-conscious, thumb-driven activities all day. Waking up, committing himself to notice when he's standing in the grocery line and he's feeling irritated and restless and wants to just get things moving along. I was at Plaza Superjet just 3 days ago. And there was one cashier, and she hadn't called for any other cashiers, and we suddenly had a line of 7 people. And in SuperChat, they have a usual practice of just calling for another. She was all caught up in whatever she was doing, and this guy next to me said call another cashier. So he was like grumbling under his voice, and I said, sí, necesito un otra. And he smiled because I was speaking to him in Spanish, and we spoke a little bit more, and then there was kind of a silence, and then the woman picked up her microphone and she said, another checker, calling for a cashier. And he said, sí, la luz. The light appears. It's a happy moment. We were both grateful not only that the line was suddenly getting shorter, but that we both saw each other, and we understood each other, and we heard what was going on. Gratitude is not limited by the status quo. It can be an act of resistance to our own sorrow and our own pain and the things that hold us back. There was a woman who wrote in that article I quoted earlier where she was talking about gratitude. It's good for your health. She talked about when her husband had a stroke and all the little things that she started to notice about other people in other people's lives and things that people did for them. It's just a kind of amazing list. But my most favorite part in the whole list was when a friend sent them a playlist, and he had a stroke, so he couldn't walk. It had actually damaged his ability to stand and walk. He recovered within a few months, but he was going through rehab. And while he was going through rehab, this friend sent a playlist, and there were songs in it like Walk This Way, or Walking on Sunshine, ooh, or Walk Like an Egyptian. And it was the sort of sarcastic way of pushing against the difficulty he was facing, and instead of just saying, I know it's difficult, it was like, keep going. Keep going no matter what. Those steady moments that stabilize us and tell us we're not all alone and that there's still power and life running through our bodies. Steady mountains, always there. The ever-changing clouds. I love looking at the clouds and watching the incredible, beautiful, complicated things they do. And they're just, it's just moisture and the dust in the air. But it's amazing. And my heart opens up to reality, opens up to the potentialities of the universe, watching those clouds move slowly, changing, always. In a world that teaches us scarcity and competition, gratitude becomes a form of rebellion against that separateness. However you say it. When the world insists you are alone, gratitude is what tells you that you are connected. When the world insists there's just not enough, gratitude murmurs, there's enough. When despair says, give up, gratitude offers a tender, hold on, keep going, you can do it. The act of noticing the beauty and the goodness of life is a defiant act. It's standing against the evil. It's standing against despair. It's standing against sorrow. Gratitude shifts the story, not by denying the suffering, but widening the frame. It doesn't eliminate the pain. It just puts it in a much wider picture in which many people are not suffering that same pain. And even if you're suffering pain, it is not the only thing that you can see. It is not the only thing that exists. It's widening out. You can see that when we do our political protests. All of a sudden, you're feeling kind of alone and isolated and powerless, and then you see all these other people are wearing funny costumes and gathering together, and holding up hope and holding up care and justice. Remember a guy that I'd heard of. He was in a time of great difficulty, and he's a member of another UU congregation. And his minister told me about how he was taking care of his wife who was suffering with cancer. She was dying of cancer. And he was trying to do whatever he could with home health care to take care of her. But he had always volunteered for the food bank. And he decided to keep volunteering for the food bank, to not cut back his hours, his volunteer hours. And it was a way of affirming that he still lived, even though she was dying. And that his love was not limited only to her, but always his love for her had been part of this larger community of generosity and care. And so he kept going to the food bank and seeing the people there and feeling so grateful, both that he was able to help and that he was connected to these people and he was able to give them some hope too by giving them food, lifting them up. The loss that he was facing, the loss that he was about to face, was not the totality of his life, nor the totality of his love. And he felt great gratitude. There's a guy named David McMahon who was talking about Buddhist teaching about gratitude, and he said, meditation may provide moments of calm from our otherwise frenetic, busy lives, but as Buddhists, we've always insisted that it's also meant for directing the mind towards the best course of action, the most ethical, intelligent, good karma activity to guide one through the suffering circles, samsara, whether it's digital or otherwise. And finally, gratitude is always an affirmation of our connectedness. Jess Sorrenti recently was writing about Johanna Macy. Johanna Macy wrote some great things. And there was a big book in 2014 called Work That Reconnects. And she says, we always begin with gratitude because what better place to start with than joy and positive affirmation? The interconnections are always there. And to affirm them, to see them, when we see our connection to a beautiful flower or a kind neighbor or to people who are working furiously to defend the vulnerable. Not perfection, not abundance, enough. It's a friend of mine, Reverend Sean Parker Dennison, UU minister. The coronavirus was raging, threatening the world, and 8 families in his UU congregation in Ashland, Oregon, lost their homes to fire. And this was his response. First, learn to listen. Not only for the enemies around the corners and hidden places, but for the faint footsteps of hope and the whisper of resistance. Second, hone your skills. Aim your heart towards kindness and stockpile second chances. Under the weight of destruction, we will need strong shelter of forgiveness and the deeper wells of welcome and gratitude. We have a place for you. When the world finally ends, we must not add destruction to destruction, not accept a beggar's bargain to fight death with more death in order to survive the apocalypse. Any apocalypse at all, we have to give up the counterfeit currency of self-sufficiency, the mistaken addiction to individualistic competition, the lie. The lie that we survive alone or not at all, but to always see our interconnections. So today I invite you to cultivate gratitude, not as an automatic feeling, but a noticing of what is holding you today, of what flickers of goodness in and around you, however small, and to honor that. And so now the choir will guide us in thinking a little bit further along those lines by rising up and singing about simple praise.
The act of giving in all its forms is a profound and ancient spiritual practice. It's a joyful expression of our gratitude and generosity, reflecting the abundance we receive and the values we cherish. By joyfully sharing our financial gifts and our unique strengths, we actively participate in building the beloved community we envision, a world rooted in justice, compassion, and peace for all. We now invite you to contribute to our shared mission as we receive the offering. Thank you for your generosity. May these gifts bless our community. And now please rise in body or spirit to sing hymn 347, We Gather Together. The third verse of this was written by our choir director and treasurer, Larry Tabiska. 349, sorry, 349.
I'd now like to give you benediction of go and enjoy Thanksgiving and see you next week. And in the meantime,
And now we'll extinguish our chalice. Please join in saying the words on the screen or in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and find in our living until we are together again. And for our final move together, we'll join hands around a big circle and sing one last short song.